All right, let's dive into a massive shift happening right now in the world of artificial intelligence. You see, for years, there's been one simple rule for making AI smarter. But that rule, it's starting to break down, and something way more interesting is taking its place.
Okay, let's just get right to it with a pretty bold statement. For all the incredible progress we've seen, the main strategy that got us here is basically running out of steam. And look, this isn't just some minor tweak we're talking about. This is a major turning point.
So what was this old strategy anyway? It's what everyone called the scaling law. The whole idea was basically more is better. To get a smarter AI, you just had to feed it more. More data to learn from, more parameters, the AI's brain cells, and then just pour on more raw computing power. It was a brute force approach, and honestly, it worked wonders for a while.
But now, that whole approach is hitting a wall, a big one. We're seeing what they call diminishing returns, which basically means for every truckload of new data or every extra billion parameters we throw in, the jump in smarts is getting smaller and smaller. We're putting way more in, but we're getting way less out.
Here's a really great way to think about this. Imagine you want to build the world's smartest library. The old way of doing things, the old scaling law, is like saying the best way to do that is to just keep piling more and more books onto the floor.
And this is where you get this weird paradox, right? Because sure, with more books piled up, you technically have more information in the room. But what you really have is just total chaos. It becomes impossible to find anything, you can't connect any of the ideas, you just can't make sense of it. More information has actually led to less understanding.
So that brings us to the big question. If just piling on more data, this brute force method, just creates this library of chaos, then what's the alternative? What's the new path to building something that's truly intelligent? Well, the answer, it turns out, isn't about more, it's about better. Specifically, better organization. The future of AI is all about building what some are calling an intelligent structure.
And this comparison just nails the difference, doesn't it? The old law was brute force, just add more books. But the new law, that's about intelligent structure. It's about adding librarians. The old way gave us chaos. This new way, it gives us coherence, a world where everything actually starts to connect and make sense.
So, who are these librarians? This is where it gets really interesting. The new secret to scaling AI isn't some fancy new algorithm. It actually scales through collaboration, using a whole network of real humans to create that intelligent structure.
So what do these human collaborators actually do? Well, you can think of it in 3 key steps. First, they organize the knowledge, putting all the books on the right shelves. Second, they verify the information, making sure the books are accurate and trustworthy. And third, and this might be the most important part, they connect the ideas. They're the ones drawing the lines between concepts in different books, creating this incredible web of understanding.
And this whole process, this is the crucial point. It does something truly remarkable. It takes that giant, chaotic pile of data and weaves it into what's being called a coherent reasoning fabric. It's not just a list of facts anymore. It becomes this structured, logical network where the AI can actually trace relationships and reason its way from one point to another.
And this right here is the biggest takeaway from this whole new way of thinking. It really forces us to stop and ask, what is intelligence anyway? It suggests that real intelligence, whether we're talking about humans or machines, isn't just about how fast you can process stuff. It's about how well you can organize what you already know, how you structure and connect it all into a meaningful, coherent picture. And that leaves us with a pretty provocative final thought to chew on. For so long, we thought of AI as this thing that's going to eventually surpass us and leave us in the dust. But what if the real path forward isn't about leaving humanity behind at all? What if it's about integrating us even more deeply into the whole process? Could it be that the next giant leap for artificial intelligence is actually a more human one?